Dear parents, dear colleagues, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, certainly, dear students and soon-to-be graduates, good morning. Welcome to the Geneva Graduate Institute. Welcome to our Maison de la Paix. It's a great pleasure for me, for us, to see so many of you here for this very special day. Nous sommes très heureux de vous accueillir. Bienvenue à toutes et à tous. Dear students and soon-to-be graduates, you've made it. You've gone through and fulfilled all the requirements of a demanding program, and of this, you should be proud. You should be proud of your achievements and success, but you should also be proud of the person, the individual that you have become through the process. Please give yourselves a huge round of applause. While you should definitely and legitimately feel this pride, the other side of the coin is gratitude. Nothing of what we do is owed only to ourselves. The support, the benevolence, the resources, the friendship, or the love that others have given and shared with us all play a huge role in our lives. So please join me, dear graduates, in applauding all those towards whom you feel grateful, your families, naturally, whether they are here physically or not, but also your professors and teaching assistants, your colleagues and your friends here at the Institute or well beyond. I have to say that a few weeks ago, I was sitting in a room very similar to this one and assisting to a ceremony of graduation for a wonderful graduating young woman, my daughter, you have guessed. So I have to say that today I have a very soft spot for mothers, and I would like us to give a special hand to mothers. During your years at the Institute, while the challenge of a demanding program was heavy in itself, many of you have also had, in addition, to adapt to a different context and culture. Over and beyond, all of you have had to learn how to live and thrive in a profoundly diverse environment. More than 120 nationalities are present at the Institute, and each single student has a very unique and generally blended life experience that always amazes me. This turns, in fact, this place into a fascinating concentrate of the kaleidoscopic nature of our world. While those years have allowed you to deepen and to expand your knowledge, while you've acquired analytical and professional skills, you've also had to develop in such a context important and highly transferable competencies, competencies that will be highly valuable in the next stage of your life. First, you've had to learn to listen to each other. And deep listening is at the same time exceptionally rare and ever more necessary in our world, where the tendency is rather to talk past each other. Second, the rich diversity in which you've been embedded during your years at the Institute has led you, in all likelihood, to develop a healthy critical distance to your own convictions and opinions. Critical thinking and the capacity to rethink, to creatively look at the world, will be another highly valuable transferable competence for the world that awaits you. Finally, respect. Diversity without respect and tolerance can easily generate confusion and conflict. But diversity with respect and tolerance, as you've all learned on a daily basis over the last years, makes every single one of us learn, grow, adapt, and transform oneself. Respect and tolerance is not easy, and here again, it does not seem to be the spirit of our times. If we look at the state of our world, quite to the contrary. So your experience at the Institute is here and again invaluable and will guide you, I'm convinced, in the next stages of your life, whether they are professional or personal. A graduation ceremony symbolically marks the end of an important period of your life, but it is also a commencement, as it is often called, a ceremony that celebrates in advance what is to come, the new beginnings that await you. And so to all of you, every single one of you, I wish the very best for the next stage of your lives. May your journey be as fulfilling, as rewarding as possible, with many professional achievements as well as many personal joys. As you're turning this page of your life, you're leaving behind familiar ground to enter uncharted territories, moving from the lake to open seas, as it were. You can approach this with two very different states of mind. The unknown in front of you can be a source of excitement and exhilaration. After all, the future is yours to invent and to explore, and we all look back on this time with, a great envy. But the unknown and its uncertainties can also be a ground for fear and for worries. I hope that throughout your life, at every single moment of your life, you will keep your compass set rather on the excitement and exploration side. Because fear is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Fear translates into withdrawal, close-mindedness, paralysis, and status quo, and then in direct consequence into conflict and violence, which then in turn generate more fear. Just a matter of looking around us to see that. Why is this age worse than earlier ages, asked the Russian poet Anna Akhmatova in 1919. Is our current age worse than earlier ones? This is an impossible question with clearly no answer, but the times ahead will be rough seas, that's for sure. We have entered an age of radical uncertainty, defined by an untangled set of challenges, whether we talk of war and the return of the nuclear threat, of the climate, of the destruction of biodiversity and vital resources, of extreme inequalities and their profoundly disruptive social and political consequences, of possible future pandemics, of cyber wars and systemic disinformation. Each of those challenges alone, and even more all in interaction with each other, are threats in the existential sense to humanity as we know it. And still, we should not let fear take the steering wheel. The way in which we look at what happens is even more important than what happens. Shadows take over when we do not bring out the lights. Victor Hugo once said, and I say it in French, la coïncidence d'un affaiblissement avec un agrandissement, tout homme a pu l'observer en soi. It is in periods of great challenges that the urgency of survival will galvanize mobilization, adaptation, and transformation. It is then that everything becomes possible, even the impossible. This is the kind of pragmatic optimism that we need today. This does not mean that we are naive or fooled. We are all aware of and clear about the dangerous nature of rough seas ahead. But we should make the choice of realist engagement. Standing still and waiting for a probable doom is the surest way to see it materialize. We should instead choose the path of actively affirming a desirable future and of collectively mobilizing for it. I will not say that this is your generation's responsibility, because I strongly believe that it is our common collective responsibility, a responsibility for all of us, that we share across generations. We are all in this together. And the issues we are facing are too extreme and too urgent for us not to bring our strength together. In the long run, humanity has only survived difficult times through collaboration. Competition is a luxury for when times are easy. What will it take for us to choose the positive engagement path? First, it will call for courage. The courage to fight for peace, because war is always a defeat for humanity. The courage to fight for sustainability and equity, because without them, peace is impossible in the long run. The courage to reinvent effective multilateral collaboration, because without it, none of our existential challenges can be properly addressed, and humanity will exhaust if not destroy itself. Courage is not temerity. It does not mean ignoring risks, danger, or fear. It means controlling them in a reflexive manner, knowing how to live and act in spite of it all. Second, it will call for integrity. Courage implies and is unthinkable without integrity. The word integrity comes from the Latin root integritas, the state of being whole, complete, but also sound in spirit. The etymological exercise takes us one step further, in fact, to the verb integro, which means to repair, but also to renew, to start again, to recreate. We need today to have the courage of integrity in the double sense of soundness and responsibility, and of creativity and reinvention. Those should be the competencies of the leaders of tomorrow, leaders preparing for peace in spite of the deafening noises of war. Third, we will need benevolence, a combination of respect and empathy, because without benevolence, there's no collective action and mobilization. Benevolence should come from the realization of who we are. We are alive because we die, and we die because we are alive. And this is true for all single one of us. Benevolence should emerge once we understand the deep inscription of our species in our natural biotop. We, humans, are absolutely, essentially dependent upon humus, or earth, the only one we have. Forgetting this is hubris, and at the same time a crime against ourselves as a species. Recognizing our individual fragility should make us humble, benevolent to ourselves first and to others. Herein lies, I will propose here to conclude, the source of our collective strength, the well from which humanity has always drawn its resilience. Before I close, let me express my huge thank yous to the professors and to the teams at the Institute that have been there throughout your course of study and have furthermore organized and made this day possible. Thank you to the team, in particular to the team at the Direction of Studies, and to all members of our different administrative departments. Please join me in thanking them. I now declare this ceremony open, and I leave the floor to Professor Andrea Bianchi, Director of Studies.
Good morning, graduates of the 2023 class, and heartfelt congratulations on this well-deserved achievement. People often ask me, what does it feel to address students graduating and leaving, different generations, year in, year out? You must get used to it, they say. Must be pretty much the same thing, isn't it? But in fact, it's not the case. Every year is different. The people, the emotional experience you've gone through with them, the material conditions, the clashes, the misunderstandings, the joys, the sorrows, the accomplishments, the sharing. So every year is unique. And the other recurrent question that I get has to do with what is it that I recommend young graduates when they leave with their degree, the tips I give them for a successful professional career and a rewarding personal life. And my response is invariably none. I don't have any advice. I don't like giving unwarranted advice. Who am I to say this is good for you or bad for you? My alleged professional expertise? What it takes to be successful perhaps can be made out in certain particular contexts. But what it means to be successful is hugely dependent on who you are and what is good for you. And that's where expertise fails and it becomes incredibly personal. So what you get from me is just a couple of personal wishes, entirely subjective, that do not bind the Institute and its community, which is an odd disclaimer for someone who's an Institute's official speaking in public at the graduation ceremony, but so be it. Otherwise, I might get into trouble. So my first wish. First thing I wish you is to speak with your own voice. To get to know what your own voice sounds like requires more than an effort, but it's definitely worthwhile. It may take one's life to learn, but it's never too late. Make every effort when you can't hear your voice to find a good reason why you can't. Accept that our voice may change with time, with smoke, other drugs, with acting, but make sure it remains yours. Each and every one of us have their own distinct voice, which is magical if you think about it. But to say that our voice is unique is not only a physiologically accurate statement. It is also a powerful source of empowerment and arguably a marvelous discovery. We all have a duty and a right to make our voice heard. I understand it may be difficult at times to find the right tone for one's own voice and to recognize it as our own, but it's an endeavor definitely worth pursuing. To learn how to speak with your own voice may give great pleasure. certainly greater than speaking with somebody else's voice, which most of the time ends up in bitter disappointment. And my second wish does not require going through a metaphor. It is a very simple invitation, which does not pretend to be original, sophisticated, in fact, anything at all. Be kind. That's it. Be kind. I'm not talking about good manners, although admittedly that would be a good starting point, but kindness as a disposition of the soul, a philosophy of life, and the practical and effective over-the-counter remedy against many evils of this world. An incredible fault may stem from it. It may sweep away huge loads of negativity and wickedness. A kind smile, a kind gesture, a kind gaze, or even a kind thought are wonderful antidotes against anger and frustration. So be kind, and many will smile you back, both literally and metaphorically. So speak with your own voice and be kind. These are my two wishes to you on your last day at the Institute as students. I like to think that we might have given a little contribution to creating the conditions for these two wishes to come true. In particular, by giving you the sense of what critical thinking might be about, emphasizing the importance of developing a well-informed and independent judgment, even on the most complex of issues, by showing that tolerance and mutual respect, as the director reminded us, are key elements for living together in any community, even one as diverse as ours. So if we have contributed a tiny bit to the cause, as I like to think, well, in that case, I will say our mission has been accomplished. All the best to you for your future 2023 class, and congratulations again. And before leaving the stage, I have the pleasure of introducing to you the master of today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dan Graham, Head of Communication at the Geneva Graduate Institute, who will skillfully guide us through the ceremony. Dan, over to you.
Chère Madame Salle, cher Professeur Bianchi, merci beaucoup pour cette invitation. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2023 graduation ceremony. I want to begin by sincerely congratulating all of you on earning your master's and doctoral degrees. To those with us here now, and to those who are not present but surely following us online, bravo. Give yourselves a very good and well-deserved round of applause. I'm going to make you applaud a lot because that's the whole purpose here, warm you up for all the applause that'll be happening all throughout the day. So I'd also like to pause and thank the multitudes of family and friends who have supported our students. Without today, it would not be possible. So again, I'd like to give them a very well-deserved round of applause. Now, let me introduce myself. I'm Dan Graham. I'm the head of communications here at the Geneva Graduate Institute, and I will be your MC, your maître de cérémonie for this morning. I'm going to walk you through the ceremony. And so first, we'll, of course, be handing out diplomas. That's obviously why we are here. But we also have a number of prizes that will be handed out for outstanding PhD theses and master dissertations. And first, we will start by awarding our doctoral and PhD diplomas. Then we will continue with the announcement of the winners of the Prix Pierre Dubois and the Leonid Hurwitz Prix. We will then move on to the conferral of the master diplomas and announce the winners of the prize of the Anthropology and Sociology Department, the Prix Mariano Garcia Rubio, and the Prix Rudy Dornbusch, as well as the International Relations and Political Science Department Prize. We will then honor the laureates of the Student Leadership Award and the Alumni Association Award. And following that, we'll have the class representatives from our master's programs, Ariana Ocampo, Sophie Lilienthal, Maeva Chabrier, Krithi Dakshina Ramaswamy, will deliver the student's speech on behalf of all students. We will then conclude with the pleasure of hearing the commencement speech of Laure Varidel, eco-sociologist and associate professor at l'UQAM, l'Université du Québec à Montréal, a school I know very well, it's where I studied. So now, let us proceed with the doctoral graduation ceremony. And for this, I'd like to call Professor Andrea Bianchi to the stage. And also, this is probably the most important part. I'm going to explain how to come on stage and how to get back to your seats, because it always, causes a bit of confusion every time. So my colleague Gabrielle will skillfully demonstrate what needs to be done. So you will pick up your diploma over on the left, my left, your right. It'll be on the table just over there. You will come to the center stage over here to get your well-deserved round of applause. Now, at this point, very good. At this point, resist the urge to leave the stage because you will have your picture taken by a photographer. You will then exit the stage at the middle staircase. Please do not come this way. Everyone tries to come this way. There's not much room. If you do, I will escort you back. That's all good. And then you will go around, all the way around. That's it. All the way around. Don't hurt yourself. Back to your seats. There you go. Excellent. And now, PhD students, obviously you're sitting in the fourth row. You don't have to go all the way around, so you have the easy job of just coming down the stairs and going back to the fourth row. So there you go. That's all you need to do. Enjoy your time on stage. And so this year, the Institute has awarded 38 doctorates, and 12 of them are here today. So if you are ready, we will begin. So first up, we have Rami Aletze, PhD in Development Economics for the thesis entitled 3 Essays in Development and Conflict Economics under the supervision of Jean-Louis Arcan. André Alves Doceres, PhD in International Relations Political Science for the thesis entitled Essays on Multilateral Sanctions and Conflict Resolution. Alice Baroni, PhD in International Relations Political Science for the thesis entitled Imperfect Struggles, Jewish-Israeli Activists for Palestinian Rights and the Paradoxes of Solidarity. Next up, Burak Güngör, PhD in International Relations and Political Science for the thesis entitled 3 Essays on Contemporary Turkish Politics. Don Liu, PhD in International Law for the thesis entitled International Arms Transfer Law, Implementation and Accountability. Kendra McGraw, PhD in International Law for the thesis entitled The Role of State Party Pleadings in Treaty Interpretation. Tobias Christoph Michael Marshall, PhD in Anthropology and Sociology of Development for the thesis entitled The Image of Remoteness, Mobility, and Alterity in Eastern Afghanistan. Alessandra Romani, PhD in International Relations, Political Science for the thesis entitled The Complexity of Sovereign Debt Governance, How Heterogeneity and Interdependence Shape Policy and Practice. Aliki Surmetsi, PhD in International Law for the thesis entitled The Thesis of Indeterminacy of International Law. Nivadetta Sen, PhD in International Law for the thesis entitled Trading in the Digital Economy, International Trade Law, Implications of Data and Data Flows. Amal Shahid, PhD in International History, for the thesis entitled The Political Economy of Famine Relief, Labor, Colonialism, and Public Works in the Northwestern Province of India, circa 1860. And Juanita Uribe Garcia, PhD in International Relations, Political Science, for the thesis entitled The Constitution of Objects Within the Middle Spaces of Global Governance, the Politics of Food and Eating. So congratulations again to all of our new PhDs. We are very proud of you. Now it's time to give out the Prix Pierre Dubois. Madame Irena Dubois, présidente de la Fondation Pierre Dubois pour l'Histoire du Temps Présent, and Professor Jussi Hanimäki will be handing out this prize. If I may ask you just to join me on stage for that. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the Pierre Dubois Prize is awarded to the best doctoral thesis in international history defended in the International History and Politics Department at the Geneva Graduate Institute during the previous academic year. I am particularly happy because this year the prize goes to a brilliant researcher, to Dr. Amal Shahid, for her exploration of how the British colonial state provided famine relief during the numerous famines that took place in the Indian subcontinent between about 1860 and 1920. Professor Jussi Hanimäki, head of the International History and Politics Department, will introduce her work in a moment. The prize carries the name of Pierre Dubois, my husband, who was a historian and who for the last 15 years of his life was professor of international history and politics here at the Graduate Institute. He left us prematurely, infinitely sadly, more than 16 years ago in 2007 at the age of 64. In keeping with his wishes, we established this foundation, the Fondation Pierre Dubois pour l'Histoire du Temps Présent, with the mission of stimulating research in current history and supporting researchers and students working in this field. Most of our activities are carried out in partnership with the Graduate Institute, with the Geneva Graduate Institute, to which I would like here to express my deepest gratitude. It was in the same spirit that we created the Pierre Dubois Prize in Current History, awarded annually, which today honors Dr. Amal Shahid. My heartfelt congratulations, dear Amal. I wish you every success in the future and all the happiness in the world. And now please allow me to give the floor to Professor Jussi Hanimäki of the International History and Politics Department.
Thank you. Thank you, Irina. And just to say that being grateful goes both ways. We are deeply grateful to the International History and Politics Department for the support that the Pierre Dubois Foundation has given us over a number of years. And one part of that, of course, is the annual Pierre Dubois Prize for the best PhD that has been defended in the past year. It is difficult to choose sometimes because you can't really measure the value of an intellectual exercise. It's not like the study of history and politics, it's not something for which we have a mathematical formula. But happily, we tend to, within the department, always come to some kind of consensus. And this year, ultimately, there was no doubt as to the fact that Amal Shahid's work on famine relief in the northwestern province of India in the late 19th, early 20th centuries was really the most deserving of the many excellent theses that had been defended. And the reason is simple. Her dissertation is excellent and original. Amal's dissertation breaks new ground by focusing on the consequences and management of famine, a repeated occurrence, as was pointed out already in British India. And specifically, she focuses on the public relief works that reveal much about colonial labor exploitation in the British Empire as much as on anything else. The research of the thesis is very rich, despite, of course, we have had COVID just fairly recently, many of you might remember. And Amal situates her story against the demographic, political, administrative context of British colonial rule. Her knowledge of secondary literature is complemented by her deep and highly original treatment of colonial archival material from the Northwest provinces. The work also connects with a number of issues that are transversal in both the temporal and spatial senses. For example, this dissertation is instructive on power relationships and dynamics. It has a lot to say about British colonial rule and the often subtle ways in which the center was able to exert influence in the periphery, often in the disguise of humanitarian efforts. In simple terms, Amal's thesis is a perfect example of a Geneva Graduate Institute doctoral dissertation in international history and politics, a work that offers historically grounded insights on a topic of major contemporary relevance and resonance. And with that, I'd just like to congratulate you, Amal, on this achievement. We are all very proud in the department and hope you all the best.
Thank you very much, Jussi. Now we move on to the Prix Leonid Hurwitz. Will Professor Nathan Sussman please join me on stage to present the prize? Thank you.
Good morning. The prize recipient cannot be with us today, but I'll present it in absentia, and it doesn't distract anything from the quality of the dissertation. So the prize goes to Laura Nawazur on her dissertation on essays in environmental macroeconomics. And as my colleague Jussi in the history department, this process of selecting a PhD thesis is very difficult because many theses are worthy and deserve the prize. In the economics department, we do a survey amongst faculty and select the thesis. And so the thesis we selected is obviously excellent, but also very topical because it addresses one of the most burning questions and issues that we face today, the issue of sustainability and environmental sustainability in particular. And this thesis goes a long way in terms of explaining what it means in terms of the macroeconomic sustainability, how would that affect growth and implementation of green technologies, but also how the markets, financial markets, respond to the crisis, and do they reward, in terms of capital flows and financial flows, those firms and countries that are doing more in terms of sustainability than others. So for all these things, we thought this was an excellent dissertation, worthy of the prize, and Laura herself is already now employed at the ECB in a unit recently created in the central bank to deal with sustainability issue. Just reflects the importance of this topic, not just amongst environmentalists, but also among central banks. And the ECB is a lighthouse in terms of these things. And Laura, in her capacity in this unit, will obviously contribute to making the world a better place in terms of sustainability. So I guess she's not here, but I was told to stand in front of her.
Thank you, Nathan. Again, congratulations to all of our well-deserving prize winners. Now it's time to confer the disciplinary master's diplomas and prizes. So I'm not going to go through the whole, you have to go to the right and then come to the middle, but master's students, you saw how well the PhD students did, so the bar is high. So I also want to say that I know that there's a lot of people following us online, and we also want you to know that we are congratulating you as well. I will therefore call every graduate student's name, whether they are here or not, so that we can give a well-deserved round of applause. So we're going to start off with the Masters in Anthropology and Sociology, which will be conferred by Professor Aditya Bharadwaj.
Bonjour. Congratulations, dear students. You have come through, and now it's time for the big leap into the world. So as we say goodbye and our see you soons, let me leave you with some thoughts as you begin thinking through how to navigate the road ahead. Know this, that sooner or later, thoughts will become you. Let's be reminded that we must think carefully, for thoughts are our future being actualized in the here and now. As the mighty Buddha said, what we think, we become. And these are not mere big philosophical thoughts, but rather mundane, everyday thoughts, those polite, self-deprecating thoughts that eventually become utterances that society encourages us to invest in as markers of self-effacing politeness. Those thoughts will become us and will eventually become either a barrier or a facilitator. What you've done in the past 2 years, and for much longer for our PhD cohort, is to coax your brilliant minds into thinking reflexively, creatively, productively, from a place of awareness. Oftentimes, this involves thinking with academic texts and empirical immersion to create conditions for crafting a thought process. Books, libraries, disciplinary persuasions don't hold knowledge. These are mere sources of information, data even. Our ability to metabolize these sources into thinking new thoughts produce knowledge and knowledgeable futures. In the end, thoughts will continually reintroduce you to who you are and what you are becoming. Therefore, watch your thoughts. They are the building blocks of your destiny. And let me be clear, this is not an invitation to indulge in positive thinking, but rather a call for fostering an intentional commitment to wording the world into existence. To be aware that one can choose one's thoughts to manifest an outcome. In the end, thoughts will become words, and words will become you. So go into this world thoughtfully, mindfully, and above all, confidently. We have trained you to do all three. And if you ever need to check back, know this, we will be here thinking of you. Our association doesn't end with handing out a degree, but rather it begins here. And congratulations to you again, to a class of thoughtful, exceptional humans. It was indeed a true pleasure to think with you. Very well done.
We will begin with the Masters in Anthropology and Sociology, when everyone's ready. All right, so first up, we have Sarah Ashik Lopez. Pierre Akerib. Marianne Desarzen. Rafaela Flores Moreira. Diana Hassaj. Jasmine Eugene Have. Mohammed Javid. Geneva Adelanke Oke. Krithi Dakshina Ramaswamy. Manuela Alejandra Ramirez Perez. Gori Saxena. So congratulations to all of the graduates in the master's program in anthropology and sociology. And since Aditya is here with me on stage, I will ask him to kindly confer the Anthropology and Sociology Department Prize.
I'm delighted to announce that this year's Anthropology and Sociology Department Award goes to Ms. Krithi Dakshina Ramaswamy's MA thesis titled The Making of Good Work and Good People, Ethical Liberation in and Through Asher Work. The selection jury reached a unanimous decision and noted that the thesis is exceptionally solid, both conceptually and methodologically, and demonstrates a keen ethnographic sensitivity to the hierarchies, positionalities, and tensions between the research interlocutors. On behalf of the department, I extend my warmest congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Krithi Dakshina Ramaswamy. The Anthropology and Sociology Department would also like to announce an honorable mention to another outstanding piece of research by Jasmine Eugene Have. The thesis is titled Melting Landscapes, Human Glacier Relations in Chamonix Mer de Glace. The jury noted that this excellent thesis mobilized a wide range of evidence and developed a highly original conceptual approach to a pressing global issue. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jasmine Eugene Have.
Congratulations again, prize winners. And thank you, Aditya. So next up are the Masters in International Law, which will be awarded by Professor Joost Palwin. If you may join me on stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to represent the International Law Department. I've been a student myself before, but like Marie-Laure, only recently have I been sitting on the other side as a parent. And it feels very different, and it makes you realize how educating someone requires a village. So thank you to the students. Congratulations to the students. We have 29 in the law department this year. but a special shout out also to family, friends, siblings, parents, dare I say fathers, who have supported you all the way coming here. So we are celebrating young people who are graduating in law. And we know that too often today the law is followed in the breach. We have war in Europe, we have climate-led disasters, realizing that many of our laws, treaties, rules are not good enough. At the same time, I think it's very exciting to graduate in law these days, to keep shaping the rules that will solve the problems we are facing, and to realize that notwithstanding the problems out there, that law will, I think, always be a necessary part of the solution. So I would call upon you not to despair, not to get cynical, but to work hard to improve the law to tackle our problems today. Now, like Andrea, I'm not gonna give you the advice as to how to have a fulfilling career in law, but I'll leave you with two things that have helped me very well in my career, two lodestars that I think are useful. The first one is to realize that law is too often a reflection of power and those who have power. And when you practice law, when you research law, when you try to play with the law, when you try to implement it, to always keep the vulnerable in mind. To keep in mind that law is created for everyone. And often you'll work for a big multinational, perhaps for a big country, but to keep in mind that there's also the other side. I think it will keep you motivated. It will keep you giving sense to your legal work. The second point, or lodestar I would give you, is that to realize that law is very often a conservative force. And with conservative, I don't mean in the political sense, but conservative in the sense of trying to protect the status quo. I would urge you to keep working on changing the law, or using the law for a good cause, changing it to make it better. And again, it has helped me not to be cynical and to keep fulfilled in a career of law that may often be difficult. But let me congratulate you again and start out handing the, I think, 29 graduates that we have. Congratulations.
Yeah, so there are quite a few. So we will get going once everyone is ready for the Masters in International Law. First up, we have Midjahid Al-Manoun. Ocean Belove. Dario Maximiliano Burki Arellano. Maria Baikova. Eduardo Cavalcanti de Melo Filo. Ishita Chakra Bhakti. Olivier Joseph Claude Clavet. Juan Diego Di Mate Gomez. Baichen Ding. Margot Anastasia Donze. Margot Eva Justine Gemanier. Augustin Giustiniani. Mathangi Hariharan. Michiel Hornick. Kamala Husseinli Abushova. Tessa Jalan Yager. Sophie Lilienthal. Amanda Mercado Lemos. Carmen Zuleika Mana Granados. Benjamin Nicolas Meret. Mirta Liante Niemeyer. Romy Paschel. Viola Santini. Ellen Isabel Schutt. Adrian James Stewart Tortola. Abduli Wilson. Zizu Chao. Ti Hao Tsun. Wei Chung. Congratulations to all the graduates of the Master's Program in International Law. And since Professor Paulwin is already with me, he'll be handing out the Mariano Garcia Rubio Prize.
Thank you. As you can see, the choice was difficult. Many theses this year. Mariano was a teaching assistant with us who died very early in life. So we keep commemorating him, and we've named our prize after him. This year the prize goes to a student who wrote an excellent piece of doctrinal research. We wanted to celebrate that as well. The committee decided this was very well structured, very well written, excellent work. It deals with the European Convention on Human Rights, which applies extraterritorially. So when the UK has a military operation in, say, Iraq, the convention applies. The question is, do some of these exceptions in the convention, Article 15 in particular, do these exceptions also apply when the convention applies extraterritorially? And this year the prize goes to the author of the thesis I just explained, who is Margot Donzé. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Let's continue now with the Masters in International Economics, which will be awarded by Professor Nathan Sussman.
So, good morning again. So first of all, apologies from Professor Cédric Thiel, the real department chair, who cannot be here today with us and celebrate with you together. I believe he sent you congratulations on via email, but I would like to personally extend that congratulations to you. You know, speaking about economists, so I'm not a perfect substitute for Cédric, but hopefully I'll be a close substitute and maybe try a little bit of be a compliment as well. So first of all, congratulations on the journey that you have accomplished, starting in the math boot camp, which for the audience who doesn't know these things, it's a boot camp. It's 2 or 3 weeks of intensive morning to evening crash course in mathematics, and those that survive that can actually enter into the program, and fortunately all survive, but it's quite a task. And in general, the Masters in Economics requires a lot of effort in terms of quantitative skills. But what I'd like to briefly talk about in the 1 minute that I still have is not about quantitative economics, because you often hear facing the challenges the world is facing in terms of sustainability, conflict, as we've seen a lot of theses, both doctoral and master, are about conflict. Less so about sustainability, hopefully more in the future, but and you'll be facing a lot of criticism as economist. I usually get this saying when I introduce myself as an economist that, oh, you economist, you're the problem, and so rather than being defensive about your profession and jumping back to all the your quantitative skills and demonstrating your knowledge of econometrics, so I think the first advice I would give you is, first of all, to listen, because all these disciplines represented here today from the other departments, and you're fortunate to have a master's degree, which is very unlike more structured master's degrees, allows you a little bit of flexibility in terms of also taking courses in other departments in this institute. And hopefully, by doing so, you learn to listen to your colleagues. Many of our classes in economics, not all, are also open to students from other disciplines, and we encourage this dialogue, because being very defensive about your profession, and which I believe is always right, but still, being defensive about that is probably not the way to go. You should try and listen and engage. And in the end, we've given you a great set of tools to do good. So use them to do good in this world. And maybe in 20 years' time, people talk maybe a little bit different about economists. So congratulations and success in your future careers.
that's yours. It's also yours. Thank you. All right, so here we go with the Masters in International Economics. First up is Efrat Armoun. Rhythm Banerjee. Mohamed Burka. Serem Abidadi. Luigi Dante Gaviano. Luca Godel. Avanth Ganturo. Jeffrey David Hilton. Jérôme Julien Stéphane Hirschi. Daksh Joshi. Victor Kilnin. Rhea Kochar. Badath Kumar. Maxim Kutsenko. Trisha Mani. Alberto Antonio Matamoros Rojas. Karen Netza. Ariana Ocampo Cruz. Neha Satya Prakash. Srishti Sinha. Yu So. Ruoi Song. Lukas Dominik Stiefel. Mayu Suzuki. Ritupulna Vishwanath. Yanqie Wang. Ka Lok Wang. Shu Huai Siang. Michael Richard Salem. Hansia Zhou. And Suting Cho. So congratulations to all the master's programs in international economics. And Professor Sussman, since you're already on stage, would be so kind to hand out the Rudy Dornbusch Prize. Thank you.
Well, as you can see, not only the International Law Department has lots of students and a difficult choice to make, so we also had a very difficult choice to make, and using the system I told you before, we vote on this in the department online, and so we introduce, each professor can introduce the thesis that he thinks is best from his thesis that he supervised, and then we go into this pool and select the winning thesis. And the winner this year is Luigi Dante Gaviano. Welcome on stage. On his master thesis on the consequences. Okay, go ahead. No, you're all right. On the economic consequences of consolidation. So, thank you. You can see I'm just substituting for Professor Tia.
Congratulations. Next up is the Masters in International History and Politics, which will be awarded by Professor Jussi Hanimäki. No, Hanimäki.
I'm back, my colleague from political science at history and research. She almost took the stage for this. But anyway, I'm back here for a minute or two. One of my lines was stolen by Joost about fathers, but let's give fathers another one. It's really, this is one of those very, very bittersweet moments one goes through every year, sadly, in which you are proud of all of you who are graduating. You are at the same time wondering, of course, where did those 2 years just suddenly disappear, how fast time goes. And, of course, as a Finn, I show my sentimentality quite openly. So this is me being sad and happy at the same time. Now, Aside from that, just a very quick words to our graduates this year. You have a simple motto or slogan in international history and politics. It is understand the present, prepare the future. And the underlying point, of course, there is no history in that motto, except it is all about history. In fact, I was looking at many of the titles here of dissertations, of theses, and so forth. None of them, or all of them more or less, connect inevitably with the past, because that is all we have. Our database does not come from the future. We don't invent it. All our theories, all our assumptions ultimately are based on the past, which makes studying history and politics, of course, something that connects the past with the present in a very obvious way. And what we see in the just in the last 2 years when you've been students here, some of the big issues, the coronavirus COVID, which now somehow has magically disappeared, is historically unique and, however, at the same time very common. Pandemics come and go and have done so for millennia. Have we learned much from those? We'll see. War in Europe. Well, need I say more? It is not exactly a first. It is something, war involving hundreds of thousands of troops on the European continent that's been raging over the past year and a half and will rage for quite a lot longer, I sadly imagine. Crises about migration and so on and so forth. These are not specific, unique events of our time, but rather they're part of a historical continuum, except, of course, there is something always unique about all of this. And I think that's where the history thing about understanding the present, yes, it is based upon historical thinking, but what I think the tool, the most important tool perhaps of studying history, is that it does allow you to, at certain moments, realize there is no happy solution to everything. There is no happy pill that will make your problems go away. There is no happy theory that will solve everything. What you do need to do is to pause, is to recognize, is to understand what is the mix between the unique, this has never been like this before, and the overall, the general, the fact that indeed there are patterns, there are things that do repeat themselves in one shape or another. And how do you then, from that, move on in your professional careers, whether it's as a diplomat, whether it is working in some non-governmental organization, whether as a journalist, the media, etc., etc. How do you use this understanding to have a certain humility towards the future? We will not be able to totally shape it, but we will if we understand the alternatives better, and which we can only do by understanding and recognizing past patterns. That's when we can perhaps come up with profitable, good, meaningful solutions to our current problems. So that's deep thoughts from Finn. Now, ultimately, of course, it's simply a huge thank you to all of you who've been with us for the last few years, some perhaps a bit longer because of that COVID thing. It's been a privilege for me, my colleagues join me in this, of having been your professor, shared these past 2 years with you, and realizing that this is only one moment in what I think will be a long, continuous friendship and association as you go on into your professional careers as alumni, indeed, of the Geneva Graduate Institute and International History and Politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jussi. So here we go. Let's go with the master's program in international history and politics. First up is Aishwarya Agarwal. Valeria Bybin. Yingyu Dai. Katharina Shadow Fletcher. Amédée Hirt. Francesca Carolina Martins. Adriano Ricci. Ruth Frak Rode. Cédric Joël Roth. Darika Viswana Thanathri. Shuzie Chang. Congratulations to all of the graduates of the Master's Program in International History and Politics. And last but not least, the Master's in International Relations Political Science, which will be awarded by Professor Anna Leander.
Yes, as you know, Swedes and Finns have a history, but let's not talk about that. Graduates of the International Relations and Political Science Department, students who are here, members of the Institute community, ladies and gentlemen, and now I have to add mothers, fathers, brothers, and children who support our students in their work. Warmly welcome. And I'm really happy and proud to have spent the past 2 years with the graduates who are here, and sometimes a little bit more if they've taken more. We're here to celebrate that period together, which is concluding an episode in your lives and also opening something new for you. And what I want to do, I just want to share an image with you. And it's an image I borrow from a novel by the US-American author Celeste Ng called Missing Hearts, or Missing Hearts. And before I get to the image, I need to say a little bit about the context of that image. So Celeste is writing a dystopia. It's the US in a future version governed by the Pact, which stands for the Protection of American Culture and Traditions. And the Pact is largely directed against POW, which means people of Asian origin. And it results in a lot of repression and violence against all racial minorities and minorities generally, anyone slightly different. Now, as all oppressive regimes, this one is supported, the Pact's rule is supported by intimidation, specifically through the removal of children from their families. And the main character in this novel is Margaret Mew, who, like most people in an authoritarian setting, will duck and not do anything until they're really threatened. It so turns out that Margaret Mew is POW. She's of Chinese origin. And at one point, one of her poems becomes the icon of resistance. The title of the poem is Our Missing Hearts, hence the title of the novel. And She therefore sees herself leaving her son, Bird, nice name, behind with her husband so that he can grow up and live safely. And doing this, she not only leaves, she completely breaks off contact with her son and her husband and her previous life, because otherwise they would not be safe. And instead, so she goes off and she goes to see all the other families, all the ones she can find. She does this through librarians, historians of family relations. She seeks them out and collects their stories, and they all want her to tell these stories. Sticking to the small, sticking to the details. So she does this. She collects these stories, and then what's the image I want to leave you with is how she then goes about telling those stories. So she hides loudspeakers in little bottle caps that she distributes all over New York, where she, this is very American, I'm sorry, we're all American-centric today. She hides these, and then her voice appears, and let me just read this to you. Emerging from the knotholes of trees, the underside of trash cans, cracks in front stoops, and behind lampposts, anywhere and everywhere she had wedged a bottle cap in the last month. Hiding unnoticed until this moment, when from that little round cap her voice would spring, surprisingly loud, startling those nearby. In unison, this voice speaking, slightly scratched, as if from where, all over the city. Only one voice, but speaking the words of many. So you see all these little bottle caps making noise all over New York, everyone listening, amazing. Now, the IRPS department, including its students, speaks in many voices, to be sure, and they cultivate the critical traditions and present culture of this institute that Marie-Laure made the center of her talk here today. Margaret Muse, sorry, I should say the director. You didn't hear me. My hope, so Margaret Muse bottle caps, they are speaking in one voice, but the words of many. Now, my hope is that the students of this cohort and actually the graduates of our department will be moving on, speaking with a strong sense of their own voice. And here I'm retaking Andreas, so director of studies words. It's funny how every year is different and how we seem to be preoccupied by the same themes. So finding their own voice, but also have the courage to listen. And here I retake someone else. So Nathan, my colleague. So have the courage to listen and speak not only their own words, but also the words of many. And this wherever you are going. So in this new life, the new episode of your life that is now opening. And this is what I want to leave you with. And I thank you so much for having spent the time here with us.
Thank you very much for that. So here we go with the master's program in international relations and political science. So the first up is Miko Sagal Ambroso. Maeva Chabrier. Lydia Chua Chen. Aeneas Atticus Engstrom. Emna Ines Fayala. Zachary Thomas Fezen. Raksha Gopal. Joshua Vincent Hellinger. Fabian Benjamin Hoffman. Sadak Kalis. Alexander Leuenberger. Francisco Enrique Lopez de la Peña. Nicholas Isaac Martinez. Carolina Miranda Futuro. Vartika Niraj. Antoine Paul Lucien Pauletta. Jessica Sahota. Vaibhavi Sharma Patek. Adam Benjamin Talsma. Simon Tsubakis. Frederick Richard Bertil Wallen. Congratulations to all the graduates of the Master's Program in International Relations and Political Science. And since Professor Leander is already with us on stage, I will ask her to hand out the prize for the International Relations and Political Science Department.
And we also had a hard time selecting. So we almost didn't, in the sense that we're awarding a prize and an honorable mention. But I'll start with the prize. So we're super proud of a dissertation. One of the reasons I choose my image for you was that it actually speaks to both the dissertations we're awarding prizes, so clearly a very central preoccupation of our students. Now, the prize goes to Sarah Callis' thesis entitled Resisting the State, Escalating Under Repression, Violent and Non-Violent Tactical Adaptation. Now, the motivation, the We had a little, every department does this differently, obviously. We had a little committee that read the dissertations in question carefully and decided on the prize on behalf of all the colleagues. Now, the motivation they gave was, this exceptional thesis presents an innovative theoretical framework for understanding the conditions under which resistance movements employ different tactics against the state. It tests these claims using impressive multi-method empirical analysis, pairing game theory, I hope you're happy, Nathan, and statistics with a detailed case analysis, Adi. The thesis has immense potential for future research and academic publication. So, on behalf of the department, and our honorable mention goes to the dissertation by Fabian Hoffmann entitled Surveilling the Smart City, Everyday Queer Resistance to Urban Surveillance in Singapore. And let me say something about the motivation here as well. The little committee said, this excellent thesis is conceptually and theoretically imaginative, methodologically innovative, empirically insightful, and politically invigorating. It's not finished. Stop. We consider it a signal of work to watch out for in the future. Now, I just have to add this because I think it's an impressive piece of work that exemplifies reaching out and collaborating with people beyond the institution. So Fabian did his dissertation in collaboration with Singaporean activists. He curated an exhibition at the Institute and did a seminar with them here. And he has constructed a counter archive with these activists. So I really think it exemplifies the kind of engaged work that the institution encourages and stands for. So thank you, Fabian.
Thank you, Professor Leander. And so that's it. We've handed out all of the diplomas. So congratulations again to all the graduates and laureates. Now we just have a few awards to hand out. So I'd like to now invite to the stage Sam Pennefold to present the Student Leadership Award.
Hello, thank you. It's an honor to speak here today and take quite the chunk out of the average age of speakers so far. Firstly, I'd like to pass on the deepest congratulations of the entire GISA Executive Committee to everyone graduating today. I hope the scale of your ambition can be matched by the scale of ours in the next year. Today, I'm here to introduce one student who has truly distinguished themselves. Through their efforts as a key part of the Latin American Network Initiative and as president of the Welfare Committee, they have shown something much deeper than academic excellence, leadership excellence. This is a skill that is much deeper and ultimately unteachable. I personally am particularly grateful for all of their hard work as leader of the Welfare Committee, and their experience has been invaluable to me so far. I would like to welcome onto the stage Carmen Mane.
Thank you for that, and congratulations. And finally, to present the last award of the ceremony, I'd like to invite back to the stage Professor Nathan Sussman to present the Alumni Association Award. Thank you.
this time I don't forget this. So it's my pleasure and honor to invite Roy Tiku to accept the prize of the Alumni Association. Rohit's work, dissertation, was completed in 2019 and was essays on conflict and corruption, mainly focused on India. Rohit has since then has begun his stellar academic career, and one of the advantages of awarding a prize a few years later is that we already really have very hard evidence for your excellence. So Rohit is a research fellow, research associate at the European Institute in Florence, European University Institute in Florence, and has turned a couple of his dissertation chapters into publications, but already has additional publications. So for this excellent dissertation and performance,
Thank you for that. So in a moment, your colleagues and class representatives will come on stage to be sharing a few words with you. However, before they come on stage, and before I leave, I'd just like to take this opportunity to share my own heartfelt congratulations with you. So let me start with a quote from Kofi Annan. "Knowledge is power, information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family," end quote. However, education is a compass rather than a map. It does not show you the precise road, but rather points you in the right direction. It does not make life simpler, but rather equips you to navigate life's complexities. As each of you move on to the next phase of your lives, we hope that the knowledge and insight that you've gained in the course of your time here at the Geneva Graduate Institute will transform, with use and practice, into wisdom, which you will continue to share with others for good. We wish you every happiness and every success for the journeys ahead. And just before I get off stage, just one final organizational reminder is that our photographer will take group pictures on stage, starting with the anthropology and sociology group. So don't take off, stick around and come back on stage for that. And now I would like to welcome your class representatives on stage, Arnya Ocampo, Sophie Linienthal, Maeve Shabi, and Kriti Dakshina Ramzu. Thank you very much, and congratulations again.
All right. Dear graduates, dear friends, here we are. Here we are at the end of a long road that was our master's programs, and we made it. It is thus our honor as class representatives to congratulate you today and to make a short statement on the occasion of your success. 2 years ago, we entered this room for the first time, our eyes filled with hope. We envisioned the opportunities within these walls, the fantastic people we would meet, and the certainty that this training would lead us to fantastic careers. Today, at the graduation ceremony, we realized that even though, of course, the courses were interesting and rewarding, it is you, the student community, that makes us feel fulfilled. Coming from different backgrounds and having diverse interests, we got to know each one of you, and we will share memories for life. The Geneva Graduate Institute community is diverse, and together we represent numerous countries and speak multiple languages. Our international community was a small piece within International Geneva, where international organizations, the private sector, and NGOs are now waiting for you.
You are the promise for a miracle world. So our hope for all of you is that after we walk across this stage, after we get our diplomas, after we go out tonight and celebrate hard, we then will lean into our future careers. Find the right career for you and go all the way to the top. Try and try hard. The world needs you to change it. People all around the world are counting on you. Ask yourself, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And then you go for it. Always remember that you are invited to the table, you are supposed to talk, you are expected to change the world and give your opinion. You deserve to be heard and bring your voice to the conversation. Don't hesitate, don't be shy, go for it.
to the ANSO cohort. As one of the smallest cohorts at the Institute, I think we were exceptionally lucky. We arrived in a new place, for many of us a new continent, and we already had a group of 14 or 15 people to hang out with who could help each other navigate the new city and to navigate Geneva's prices and to start this new journey together. Even though we all got increasingly busy over the last 2 years and we rarely had time to all gather in one place again, it was the small moments, like hanging out at the ANSO corner before or after classes, that really stayed with us and made more of a difference than I think any parties or picnics could have. No one is an island, and we have all created a community with each other that's based on respect and solidarity and friendship. I'm so certain that all of us will go on to do amazing and fulfilling things in our personal and our professional lives. But I can only hope that wherever we go, in the midst of all our academic and career-related success, that we're all lucky enough to be able to build such communities wherever we go, to have people who will share with us in the good times and the bad, because that can make all the difference.
In the IOPS cohort, we might be the only one group who has arranged 2 ski weekends and witnessed a romantic connection between 2 of our students. We are a small group, a great team, and I thank you all for your kindness, smile, and positive attitude we all had together. And now I will switch in French. Ainsi, j'aimerais simplement remercier et rappeler à chacun d'entre vous que vous avez toutes les capacités nécessaires pour réaliser tous vos buts. Oublions un petit peu le syndrome de l'imposteur, n'y pensons plus. Nous avons été sélectionnés pour étudier ici. Nous avons écrit notre thèse, suivi des cours, obtenu ce diplôme, et demain, je compte sur chacun et chacune d'entre vous pour postuler à des positions professionnelles qui vous animent et vous passionnent. N'ayez pas peur, croyez en vous, et surtout, rappelez-vous toujours de cette phrase de Madame du Châtelet que personnellement j'adore, « Décidons-nous sur la route que nous voulons prendre pour passer notre vie et tâchons de la semer de fleurs. Faites de votre mieux. » And then, now I will just switch to the speech from Amédée Hirt, the class representative of the history department, who is not here today, sadly, but he is thinking about you all. Even though we are a few to study history here, we wait a lot, in the school and in the world. Everyone needs history. In the end, everyone comes back to us when it comes to understanding the present. Fellow history friends, from your time in Geneva, beside the taste of all the fun years we shared, and remember the words of Marc Bloch, dans l'écoulement du temps, le présent n'est que le point extrême d'un très long passé. I thank you.
As international lawyers, we all brought at least one fierce idea of what justice is to the Graduate Institute. Knowing, on the other hand, that law and justice can be 2 very distinct concepts, we hope to find the answer to the question of how to be an international lawyer then and bring about good. However, instead of being provided with one simple answer to this question, we were confronted with a multitude of perspectives on international law and what to do with it by our professors, who even today refuse to really give us advice. Gladly, we were also confronted with a multitude of perspectives on the world and what to think of it by our cohort. And lastly, we were able to learn from each other's convictions and methods, trying to unveil the secrets of international law during and after class. Over coffees, class drinks, ice skating, and celebrating each other's successes together, we certainly found new friends, and also respectful, and depending on the topic, quite harsh, discussants. So today, while we might leave the room with more questions than before, I would wish for all of us to remember that we acquired the necessary skills, not just to interpret and to apply the law, but to recognize the context that international law operates in and to reach a well-founded opinion on what justice means in this context. We do possess the necessary skills to navigate all these complex questions and to eventually find out what good international lawyering means.
And now to my fellow graduate economists. I feel not only happy, but grateful to find us all here today. Because we got used to spend so much time together through 2 boot camps, 25 problem set marathons, 56 review sessions together, that I fear we may have taken for granted what a beautiful company we made for each other. It may have been difficult to realize it, of course, after staring at the same exercise, at like the same group, for at least 3 hours straight, or after midterms and finals, especially finals, but we are here now. And I do feel grateful to see you again one more time, no longer as classmates, but as friends, as graduate friends. Today, as we are entering the workforce, we would like you to remember the future won't be simple because the world we live in is complex. Our societies are fragile, and peace, equality, and freedom are not guaranteed for all. We will be evolving in a world of constant change. We are bound to see and hear appalling things. That's a fact. The coming years will be decisive for future generations. Learn to swim with the current and make sure you have a positive impact on this world. Your scale is important, and after studying within these walls, you have all the resources, knowledge, and interpersonal skills to make this world a better place. Please contribute to international peace, inclusive economic growth, the respect of international law, and the respect of diversity, while remembering the past not to repeat it. We wish you all the very best, and we trust you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kitri, Ariana, Sophie, and Maeva for representing all your colleagues, really. So it's now my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker for this ceremony, Laure Varidel. Laure Varidel is a pioneer of fair trade and sustainable consumption. After finishing her undergraduate degree in sociology and international development studies at McGill, she published her first essay, Une cause café. This publication helped kickstart fair trade in Quebec. In the words of a journalist, she turns words into tools for social and environmental change, touching the head as well as the head, Adi, importance of words. In 1993, she co-founded Équiterre, a not-for-profit organization that she continued to run until 2006. In parallel, she went back to get a master in environmental studies at the University of Victoria, and a few years later, she joined the Geneva Graduate Institute to pursue doctoral studies in the ENSO department. She graduated in 2016, and the title of her thesis was Économie écologique et sociale, processus de transition au Québec. And if I understand correctly, now we have a book out of this PhD thesis that came out very recently. Thank you very much, Laure, for giving me a copy. I'm looking very much forward to reading it. Laure is today a adjunct professor at the University of Quebec in Montreal, and the best way to describe her role today is as a mobilizer. Through her publications, public speaking, and media interventions, she's fostering reaction and action to deal with environmental and social challenges. Author of 3 books, including 2 bestsellers, L'envers de l'assiette and Acheter c'est voter, her 4th, soon to be published, explores the emergence of a socially and now published actually, explores the emergence of a socially and environmentally responsible economy, and should give a boost to the ecological transition in Quebec. Frequently described as a leader and a woman of influence in the media, Laure was cited by Maclean's magazine in 2002 as one of the 25 young Canadians who are already changing our world. For her social and ecological commitment, she was named at the Cercle des Phénix de l'Environnement du Québec, and she was made an honorary member of McGill's University Golden Key Honor Society, as well as being appointed a Chevalier de l'Ordre de la Pléiade by the Assemblée parlementaire de la Francophonie. I could go on, there are many more. I will just stop here and say how lucky we are to have you with us today, Laure. Please join me in warmly welcoming Laure to this.
Merci Marie-Laure Salle. Bonjour à tous et à toutes, dear faculty, staff, wonderful graduates, and distinguished guests, bonjour. I'm deeply honored to be standing before you to celebrate the accomplishment of the graduate at this ceremony, which makes the beginning of a new chapter in their life. To all of you who are graduating, congratulations. Before sharing my 2 words of wisdom that I have been guiding my work for decades, I want to invite you to take a deep breath. A deep, deep breath. Some 25 sextillions oxygen molecules have just entered into your body. 25 sextillions, it's 25 followed by 24 zeros. In all a single breath, a breath taking 20,000 times a day without thinking about it, and without which we wouldn't survive for more than a few minutes. This air you've just inhaled would be unbreathable without the extraordinary work of plants, phytoplanktons in the ocean, and trees in the forests. Not only do they transform CO2 into oxygen, but they also capture contaminant in the air. As with oxygen, the water molecules that have been made, that we are made of, have been present. I think I'll put my glasses. That will be easier. Sorry. That's what happens when you get older. So, as with oxygen, the water molecules that we are made of have been present on Earth since life first developed at least 3.4 billion years ago. All those molecules are now traveling in your bloodstream. They've become little piece of you. Isn't it beautiful to imagine that a little bit of you, isn't it beautiful to imagine that a little bit of you, a little bit of all of us, has already been a snowflake in ancient time, a drop of water in the world's most beautiful seas, the component of a little kitten or a lion, a caribou or a kangaroo, but also of a warrior or a wise elder. This holistic view of the world was shared by many indigenous peoples even before it was rigorously demonstrated by modern science. Today, we know that we are the air we breathe. We are the water we drink. We are the soil that feeds us. We know that the world inhabits us as much as we inhabit it. We are the world that we are destroying. Through greenhouse gases emission into the atmosphere, through poison spilled on land and sea, through willful blindness to our fragile dependency on the living world. This knowledge should lead to a paradigm shift in the way we respond to the many wicked problems that we're facing, because we are also the world that we can protect. Today, I'd like to tell you how each and every one of you has the power to contribute to a world where our children can live a good life, whatever country they are born in, because we would have been able to protect the environment and make it fairer. When I think about the remarkable achievements of human civilization and of the terrifying threats that civilization has created, I'm reminded of the first sentences of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. These truly are the best time and the worst of times. We are alive at an inflection point in the human story. We do now, but also we don't do. What we do now and also what we don't do will determine what the future of humanity will look like. We have unparalleled knowledge and understanding of the world of its complexity. We have the technical and technological resources to make the greatest advance if we put them to work for mankind while respecting the limits of the ecosystem. But these same technical and technological advances represent unprecedented threats. Artificial intelligence is a case in point. It could help us produce and consume with a very small ecological footprint, anchoring us in a circular, ecological, and solidarity-based economy where eco-design and a more equitable sharing of resources could be the new norms. At the moment, leading experts in the field the very creator of this technology, such as Joshua Bengio and Stuart Russell, are raising red flags, going so far as to say that artificial intelligence is an existential threat to humanity. As if we didn't have enough to do with the climate crisis, biodiversity loss, wars, involuntary migrations, food and water scarcity, rising inequality, etc. You might want to plug your ear when you hear all this. Or maybe you would like to bury your head in the sand. These are normal reactions to problems that seem to overwhelm us and that can lead to anxiety. But studies in social psychology have shown that it's by taking action that we feel the least demoralized, and above all, that we increase our chances of implementing concrete solutions to tackle the root causes of the problem we have to confront together. In this case, an economic system that externalizes environmental and social costs, banking on growth that takes no account of the limits of the ecosystem or the basic needs of humanity as a whole. An economic system which has institutionalized cupidity. As writers wrote, Bertolt Brecht, he who fights may lose, but he who does not fight has already lost. Personally, I refuse to admit defeat, and I'm far from the only one. I know that many of you in the room are in that position. Life on Earth is too precious, too beautiful for us not to stand up together to defend it. Together for our children, whose life depends on our ability to protect living things, to take care of each other. Hope lies in action. Action taken by each and every one of us who are part of the planet, a little piece of it, a little piece of its humanity. Now let me share with you the two words I keep coming back to in the struggle I have led for a more ecological and fairer world. Whatever career you pursue and whatever that may be and wherever you might be, I think that they could be useful to you too. They are words spoken by Martin Luther King shortly before he was assassinated. He said that to really win battles, you need a tough mind and a tender heart. In French, I translated by cœur et rigueur. Reverend King thought one without the other was insufficient. Intellectual rigor and benevolence are inextricably linked if we are to create a better society. These are two complementary forces, not contradictory ones. You've learned intellectual rigor here, deepening your knowledge through research supported by leading professors in a stimulating academic environment. With respect to tender heart, there is no diploma for it. It is an attitude of kindness and cooperation to cultivate towards each other. It is a posture of open mind to people who have perspective on issues very different from you. In a world that is becoming more and more polarized and polluted with fake news and dangerous popular discourse, I think that the tender heart and the tough mind are absolutely necessary to solve the very complex challenge we are facing now. Now that you are embarking on your journey beyond this wall, I want to tell you one last thing. Cultivate love. Not only because it will make you happy, but also because it's an eternally renewable energy. Because love makes us creative. Because love eliminates fear and gives us courage. Because love makes us care for each other. Because love is the most powerful weapon of mass construction for a better world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Laura, again, for those very inspirational words. And, you know, you've seen a lot of words resonate across that ceremony. In fact, a lot of us promised we didn't call each other to write the speeches. So this is in great part by chance. A few minutes ago, you entered this room as students. Now you're graduates, but that's not the end of your relationship with this institute, because while you're becoming graduate, you're also becoming an alumna or an alumni, an alumnus or an alumna, alumni, alumnae. Go back to our Latin. And, you know, Laure is here today to talk to us, but she's also here because tomorrow we have an alumni and alumni reunion for the whole day here at the Institute, and we do naturally very much hope that you will come to see us very regularly, that you will, you know, give us news, tell us what you're doing, come and talk to future generations of students like Laure is doing today. You're entering a community of more than 20,000 members from all corners of the world, and this is part, you know, of our family. It is our family. This home is your home, will always remain your home. So big congratulations to you now, graduates and alumni of the Geneva Graduate Institute. So a bit more than an hour ago, again, I started by proposing a three-dimensional compass to navigate the complex waters ahead, a compass that I realize resonates very much with a lot of what my colleagues have said, but also with what Laure has said. Courage, integrity, and benevolence. I really wish all of you, every single one of you, all the best ahead in your professional career, a lot of successes. But I also hope that you will be able to live your passions and express your humanity. As Leo Tolstoy said, be courageous, sure, but never forget to love and to be happy. We will now be watching a short movie on this broad community of alumni, and after that video, we will close the ceremony. We'll have picture moments, as was said before by Dan, and after the picture moment, we all wait for you at the cafeteria upstairs for some drinks and continuing, our happiness around this very important moment. All of you, be well, keep in touch, and all my very best again.